All right, fine. We'll go into the backup room where they have the backup machine to do the backup recording for the backup podcast.
Yeah,
Fine,
we're
Craig.
doing this without Craig. He decided to not show up for work today. Actually, he showed up, clocked in, and then just clocked out and left.
Yeah, we're looking for replacements for Craig. If you'd like to send us a self-addressed stamped envelope along with a resume, we'll get a letter back to you if you've accepted your opportunity to do an interview with us here at the Grumpy Dungeon Masters.
Yep.
Please allow 8 to 10 weeks for delivery.
Yeah, definitely do not ever contact us on social media about said position, because that will guarantee you don't get it.
Yeah, you just find her address through magic and then send us the letter.
So yeah,
Yeah,
welcome to the Grumpy Dungeon Masters. I'm
also
Jay.
Twitter. Hi, Jay. I'm Christopher. And all the great knowledge I've already provided you about Star Wars is gone now for the ether, and I'll have to wait for another cool opportunity and setup.
I know.
I
We
know.
we actually had a good 10-minute conversation about Star Wars, and Craig decided to leave and took the recording with him. So we're just not going to talk about Star Wars at all.
Yep, not at all. Moving on. So I learned that fact that we're not talking about anymore off of Reddit, and I said I spend way too much time on Reddit, and that's when
Yep.
Craig decided to leave forever.
Yeah. So
Um,
now we're going to back up to talk about a thing that should have been talked about, but apparently wasn't talked about.
so
Because Craig lost the recording. But what? So, have you ever brought back a villain to utilize multiple times in the same manner as people from Star Wars?
no, because when my villains die, they're dead.
See, I like to not necessarily bring them back, although I have done that a couple of times. One specific incident, there was a succubus that players had gotten into multiple, not fights per se, but just multiple little scraps with her and her cohorts. And they ended up killing off the two cohorts, and they never could get a hold of her. So like they're level 10 or so when they deal with those guys, maybe a little or maybe higher level, I don't remember. And when I was getting ready to wrap up the campaign, I ended it with the primary story I was telling, and then they really just wanted to go kill this NPC. So I ran an entire extra game session just so they could go kill her.
How'd that work out for them?
I mean, they went and killed her, and then they come out and find out that they never actually killed her. Because yeah, this person has a lot of knowledge, a lot of contacts, a lot of funds. So and they're also a devil
Yeah.
or demon, whichever one succubus are. So they're very, very difficult to actually kill.
For me, when it comes to a villain, um, the good villains make their mark and then don't come back. And Star Wars has a lot of good returning villains. We were talking about Darth Maul,
And Boba
um,
Fett.
and Boba Fett, but I think them returning doesn't do them any favors.
No.
Now, granted, there are a couple exceptions, like a shift from Star Wars to DBZ to Dragon Ball.
You're going to
Like
be talking about it by yourself because I know nothing about it.
there are a couple big major villains throughout the story of Dragon Ball. Um, Frieza is a really big name villain, and you know Frieza. I'm guessing.
I have no idea who Frieza is.
Frieza's his intergalactic warlord who has this giant empire, and his empire is basically built on the fact that he sends his armies to a planet, he conquers a planet, and then he auctions the planet off to the highest bidder. That's all he does. It's actually
What the hell kind of a scheme is that? That's
well,
like Lex Luthor, in one of the Superman movies, trying to cause an earthquake to
that's what
make
that's what
an island out of California.
that's what it was actually based on. It was based on Japanese realtors in the 1980s who basically had their own private gangs and private army they would go to a portion of land in Japan, run off all the local inhabitants, claim ownership of it, and then auction it off and sell it off to other people. Like that was the
Wow.
problem they had, and Frieza was just the exact like I'm calling you out with this guy. Like ooh, um, but he's the biggest named villain, probably the most popular villain in all of Dragon Ball, and they brought him back about a couple years ago. They resurrected him and brought him back, and there's a whole movie about him coming back and fighting Goku again. And I don't know, it just kind of like left to me personally, they kind of just ruined a lot of what made him really cool and popular in the first place. In one hand, it's cool to see more story develop with that character, just like with Darth Maul, how there's more story with Darth Maul that happened later. But
Yeah.
on the other hand, that huge mystique that he had, that huge buildup that he had, is just gone the second they bring him back for whatever reason. So I don't like to do that. On the other hand, in Dragon Ball, there's in Dragon Ball, the original Dragon Ball, not Dragon Ball Z or Super, there was a villain called Emperor Pilaf, and Goku beat up Emperor Pilaf. And then he kept coming back because he didn't die; he just got defeated. He kept coming back as almost like a running gag. And throughout Dragon Ball Super, they have the Pilaf gang, which is Emperor Pilaf and his two henchmen. Um, through some hijinks, they kind of made a wish and became super young again. They were like all like in their 40s and 50s. Pilaf was like 90, and then they all became children again. So now they're children in Dragon Ball Super, and they're running around doing hijinks to kind of take over the world, Pinky the Brain style, and they're just being foiled by just dumb things. And then that's a cute way to keep a villain coming back, but he's a running joke, and he always was a running joke. So
Yeah.
that's okay. But to kill a villain off and then bring it back, you'd have to really sell it. And like Maul may be the only time that's applied to me. But like Frieza, when they brought him back, yeah, the he didn't change at all from point A to point B. He just came back, was more powerful, and they beat him up again. Ooh, that
Yeah.
there was no development there. Um,
Yeah. Like it's one thing if a villain is kind of unkillable. Think Strahd.
yeah,
Like if you kill off Strahd, he's just coming back.
yeah,
You can't ever really get rid of Strahd.
yeah,
So
and that's fine.
yeah, having them come back in that scenario, that's perfectly okay. And I don't mind bringing back villains. You know, like Ghostbusters, the new one did it beautifully because it was kind of what the fans wanted. But yeah, you definitely don't want to overuse something like that with storytelling. You know, if you have one great villain that the players just detest in your game, and you don't ever want the players to get a hold of them too soon. You
Yeah,
need to drag it out, make your players hate them, and finally, when they do get a hold of them, it's just going to be all the sweeter. And if you do bring them back after that, wait a long time, and don't give any mention that you're doing it.
pull
Like that's
the Final Fantasy route.
how so? Just a
The very first Final Fantasy game.
oh yeah, the fact that you fight Garland at the very beginning and then you fight Garland at the very end.
Yeah. Oh, he's
Yeah,
the final boss. He's the first boss and the final boss.
yeah, exactly. Something like that. You've got a whole massive video game between the fighting of those two bosses, aka the same boss.
Yeah, that was interesting, but there was you didn't know it either. There wasn't much of a story in that original
Yeah,
game.
yeah. The first one's very, very limited on story.
But
So many of the I need this item. Go fetch it for me. Go kill these 4 elemental creatures.
that's
Yeah,
why as much as I've tried to replay the first one, I just can't get through it. It's just oh,
I
I
can.
need I need some story.
Yeah, no, I own a copy of it somewhere, and I play it every few years from beginning to end.
Well, they got them all on
I
Steam,
love that.
the remastered version.
No, man, I got to sit there with my like Nintendo and play it. Like I gotta have the old Nintendo controller in my hand.
Yeah. I still remember that like one little peninsula that was actually like a part of like the different higher level zone. You could kind of go there
Yeah,
earlier
yeah,
and beat up the giants and power level your PCs all the way.
yeah. There were so many tricks to that game, just that you sort of figure out over the time. D- what was the class combination you liked to use the best?
Um,
Because you had 4 characters and you could use, there were 6 different classes.
I did fighter, monk, white mage, black mage.
Okay. Yeah, and that's the classic. That's the traditional one. The one I always liked using wasn't far off, but instead of a monk, I just went with a second fighter
Yeah.
because the fighters put out so much ungodly amounts of damage and they could take it. So why not have 2 of them?
Well, because the monks just hit that much harder.
They didn't really though.
Yeah, they did. As long as you didn't give them a weapon, the original calculation for their unarmed damage was broken in the game. So if you didn't
Uh,
give them a weapon, they scaled infinitely with their every time they leveled up. If you gave them a weapon, it actually drastically reduced it. So while the fighter, for
in
example, could do like 250 with the right sword, the the monk would get like 7 hits, all at 100 apiece.
in the very beginning of the game, you actually wanted to give the monk a weapon, but by level 6 or 7, you didn't
Yeah.
want him to have a weapon. Yeah,
The
like I don't
the
know. I played with the monk plenty of times as well, and the damage output just never seemed much better than the fighters.
I did play with all monks one time, and like I said, it was stupid easy because
Hmm.
you just attack, and they always fast enough. They always went first, and they would just punch, and then just things died because they were punched 10 times for 100 damage and dead
Yep.
monster.
Yeah. And
Uh,
as fun as the black mage was, he really didn't serve a large purpose other than to AOE small
yeah.
monsters.
The thief, I think they fixed in the later games, the so that his stuff actually worked properly. Because back in the day when they released programs and stuff like that, there was no beta test. The game was just shipped
Yeah.
as is. So
Yep.
like all the
Here
thieves
you go.
stealing and running away and stuff like that was all broken. But they fixed that in the newer versions.
Hmm.
Plus his Craig, don't you come in here? Plus his super class when he became the ninja was
Yeah.
useless until they fixed all his stuff.
Yeah, because I mean, truthfully, that game, like most games, a lot of it really is about damage output and damage survivability.
Yeah,
What do you bring to the field of battle? And this is with Final Fantasy. This is with Dungeons and Dragons. Uh, what in the hell is Craig doing?
I don't know. He's trying to break in. Bar the
I
doors quickly.
This is so weird. I'm a little scared for my life right now. So anyway, uh, yeah. So the why run the
Professional
lesser.
podcast.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt. Right? Why run the lesser options like like the rogue or the ninja when you could just run the fighters or the monks who are just out damaging them? There wasn't any chest really that you had to pick locks for,
Yeah,
so the rogue didn't serve a purpose in that game.
yeah, and I feel sometimes like that's the same problem with D&D. Like all you got to do is just out DPS the monsters and you're fine
Yeah. Well,
until the wizard
there's so
shows
much
up.
overlap. Yeah, there's so much overlap within classes in D&D. Yeah, just looking at damage dealers, you have sort of the monk, you have the ranger, melee slash range damage dealers, the monk, the ranger, uh, what am I forgetting? The paladin,
Yeah,
fighter, barbarian. Although there's some survivability differences between those classes, but why play a ranger when you could play a rogue that's just going to out damage you, or a
yeah,
paladin that's going to out damage everybody at least for a
or
few swings?
or fighter, which is just better than everybody.
Yeah, I mean, a high level fighter is really ridiculous. High AC, many attacks around. Good damage, good survivability.
So there was a thing one of the guys at Adventures League was trying to do, and I saw it later on as like a helpful DM or D&D damage tips on TikTok or some shit, and it was all
Yep.
about playing a class that could cast the Thorny Ground spell. Can't remember it.
Oh
Entangling.
yeah, I remember this conversation, but go ahead.
Is it entangling roots or
uh, oh, damn it, what is it? Grappling vines, maybe? Grasping vines?
Yeah, something like that. I can't remember. But also basically being a warlock, so you can basically
Yeah,
use your Eldritch Blast and knock them back 10 feet. So you keep knocking them back into the vines, essentially shutting down any kind of melee character because it takes all their movement to get out of the grasping vines, and
yep.
then their next turn you just knock them back into it, and they take D4 damage all the time. And I'm just like, that took you like 3 turns to set up. Perfect
Eh,
positioning of the monsters. I guess there's a way to cheat it out in 1 turn with like if you are a sorcerer as well too, so you can
Sure, yeah, quick
quicken
cast.
your Eldritch Blast and knock them in. But like, so just a fighter hits him with a great axe once.
Yeah.
It's the same.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
granted, you're locking down one or multiple creatures, but it's such a niche kind of thing. It's not going to happen all the time. And
And
even if
that
it does
honestly,
happen, it's like, oh, this frustrates the DM. No, I'll be impressed if it works.
I
Honestly,
it's what I like to refer to as a battlefield controlling class.
yeah,
And you can do it with wizards. You can do it with most of the spellcasters if you pull the right stuff. And the idea is to just sort of control the field of battle. Shut
yeah,
down a monster here, shut down a monster there. Oh, look, a large group of them. Make it difficult for them to do anything. I will say things like entangling stuff like that though is really irritating for the rest of the party because your fighter wants to get in there and hit those guys,
yeah.
and that means that he is also dealing with movement issues.
So, there's a He-Man. The part 2 actually came out,
Now, careful
and
of spoilers. People,
I'm be very careful of spoilers, but somebody shows back up and is fighting somebody else, and then decides to cast a 9th level imprisonment spell on the other person, which is it very much is minimus containment, right straight out of the
yeah,
D&D handbook. And they were like, "Oh, why didn't I just cast it at the beginning of the fight?" Yeah, why didn't you just cast it at the beginning of the fight? Because that would have made the entire fight super easy.
yeah. That means you then don't have 5 minutes of screen time
I guess not.
of these two going at it.
Like, that's
And in
literally
a
what it
in a
was.
in a yeah, in a 23-minute episode, you got to fill up 5 minutes of that with a fight.
No, I just want them to walk out and just go, imprisonment. Oh,
I, yep, just
fireball.
pull
I'm
the
good.
Indiana Jones on him. Just shoot him and get it over with.
Exactly. That'd be more impressive in my opinion. Uh, but yeah, I thought that was cute. Most of my life nowadays is pretty much just me going, "Oh, that's this in D&D." My daughter has pink eye, because she's
Oh
5,
no, yeah.
and um, I was, she was like, "Oh, it hurts so bad, my eye itches, I want to scratch it." I was like, "All right, give me a con save." She's like, she'll just look at me and she was like, "What?" Like, just don't worry about it. I'm an idiot. Your father's an idiot. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, no, I do it all the time too. I'll be watching a movie or something, and then I'm like, "That's just a thing from D&D. I've seen it before." What was it? The fourth Pirates of the Caribbean movie, I think.
Yeah,
It was so there's a scene, and it's a pretty long scene where Jack Sparrow is in the room, I think with the king or the governor or something like that, completely surrounded by bad guys.
yeah.
And they're having this long conversation, and you can see Jack just eyeballing this sweet roll the entire time. And you know good and well he's just planning his escape. And then he goes through this absolute incredible series of events to get the sweet roll and fly out the window after swinging on the chandelier and everything else. And the whole time I'm watching this, I'm like, that's just an epic level rogue from D&D. That's all he is. He has all the luck feats and everything that he would need to make this work.
Well, that's what they ask in the very first parts of the Caribbean film is like, do you think he plans it all out, or is he just extremely
E-
lucky?
Yeah, exactly. And the truth of it is, D&D players aren't going to plan that out. They're just going to go with it and hope they make the rolls. And
Yeah,
if you have enough luck feats, you will succeed.
I think that scene's actually what made convince me that he actually plans it all out.
Oh, you think so? I mean,
Yeah,
he was obviously planning it out in the movie,
yeah,
but to pull it off, you still have to be the luckiest son
Y-
bitch ever.
Granted, yeah, because you can see him as he's like rattling the chains and stuff. Like
Uh,
he's like,
yep.
okay, I have to cause an annoyance. Okay, this is my annoyance, and then you can kind of see him like look around the room when he's doing that, and you can kind of see him eyeball the chandelier, look at the window, look at the drapes, and kind of like just look around. So
At the sweet roll, back to the drapes, back to
it,
the sweet roll.
I very much envision it's the whole like Shakespeare or not Shakespeare, but Sherlock Holmes scene where he's fighting the guys, and it's like he goes
Yep.
into Sherlock vision. It's like, okay, I'm gonna do
Yeah,
this
breaks
and then
down the
this.
combat maneuvers.
Yeah, so that's what I think goes through Jack's heads, and he's like, but in order for me to do it, I'm gonna need to be incredibly lucky and agile. Well, let's go.
Let's try this.
He makes a plan and he sticks with it, and sometimes he's successful.
Yeah, and sometimes it doesn't work out for him.
Oh,
Always.
speaking of failing a Constitution saving throw, my gaming chair gave up the ghost over
Oh no.
Thanksgiving break. Yeah.
Rip giant chair.
Yep. Rip giant chair. It lasted a while. I still highly recommend the brand. I just didn't want to buy a gaming chair anymore. I wanted to buy an office chair. So I went out to Office Depot, and I've been eyeballing this chair for a while now. It's called the Zephyrus Executive Office Chair.
Mhm.
It's part of the Shaquille O'Neal brand of office chairs.
No, it's high quality then.
It's high quality when a basketball player can recommend his
Yeah.
office chair.
If a man as large as Shaquille O'Neal endorses it, I think you're probably all right with it.
He could not fit in this chair. It's too small for him.
Well, yeah, you're a big guy. He's an even bigger guy.
Yeah.
I watched a video not long ago with him and I think it was The Rock, and they were squeezing into this car like smaller than the one I've got. Shaq managed to get in barely.
Yeah. But I just wanted to bring that up. I like my new big soft chair. So I'm going to hopefully be able to crank out the rest of my stuff and no longer be uncomfortable in my other chair.
Yep. Well,
So,
hey, hopefully it allows you to actually get some writing done.
yeah, that's what I'm going to do after this. Once I'm done with this, I'm going to do some writing and get some more stuff done. I always plan to do stuff, but then like I just find myself unmotivated or just kind of burnt out from the day to do anything. And it's a really
Right.
sucky feeling. Like I don't know any ways to get around it. Like
No, I've been there. We've all, anybody who's done
yeah,
anything has been there. You just have moments of no motivation.
yeah. Well, that moments is pretty much a daily basis of just
Well, the thing is, you're going to wake up, you're going to go to work for the first portion of the day, for
yeah,
most of the day, and by the time you get done with work, you've already burned yourself out. Yeah, at
yeah,
that point, like if you were able to sit back and take a nap for half an hour, and then just get up and do whatever, maybe you'd have a little motivation. But without that rest period, it's
yeah.
just not going to happen.
It's called being an adult.
I know it
Oh,
sucks. I want to go back to being a kid. D&D was so much better when I was 19. Like I love I love D&D now. I really do. But I don't know, just the crazy creativity and just all the stuff that me and my other 19, 20-year-old friends would come up with just felt more surreal and more yeah,
Be-
poignant, I guess.
because it was newer. When things are fresh
Yeah.
and new, it always feels a lot better.
Yep.
Um, I mean,
There was
like
no planning. Like there was very little planning or thought into those campaigns or games. We just run stuff and roll with it. And now, while I still, I will absolutely freewheel things, but there's a lot more thought and planning ahead of time.
yeah, because that's just what happens when you get older.
Yep.
But you hope that you can still capture the magic a little bit and work your way through.
I mean, I still show up and play, and I still show up and run, and all my players come out when I run. So we definitely got a little something going.
Did you actually get any games played over the Thanksgiving holiday? I canceled all of mine.
No, we were not able to because people were out of town and stuff. It's holiday season.
Yeah.
Anytime you get to November and December, we tend to miss a lot of game sessions.
Yep.
Um,
Uh, for me, I'll be doing a special Christmas episode, either the 11th or the 18th. Um, yeah, but
Yeah.
I think it's the 11th or 18th. I'll be running the Christmas one shot that I have, and the Christmas one shot goes on sale this Wednesday.
You guys should buy it. It's
Yeah,
pretty awesome. I've run it before, and it's a lot of fun, especially around Christmas time. I'm
you
still
got
up in the air. I'm up in the air whether I'm running it this year.
you need to
We'll
run it.
see.
You need to run it again. Let me know what happens.
I know. I'll talk to my players. We'll see where we're at. I know there's no gaming on the 18th, which is probably when it would have been run.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a big party we're all going to that's not not D&D related.
You should still play D&D there.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen. But I am supposed to run this coming weekend, yeah. Let me see. I got to pull up my
See,
schedule.
this is why the magic of D&D is gone. You're scheduling during your podcast.
I know, right? No, I'm supposed to run this weekend. I don't know about the weekend after that, and then there probably won't be any D&D for the next couple of weeks after that.
And that's why the magic's gone forever. You just
Yep.
need to. So
I will. I don't know. I find sort of the magic in coming up with just reading off crazy magic items or just coming up with the most ridiculous ideas, like the glyph of warding type thing that we talked about.
did you see the new magic item out of Strixhaven that was leaked?
I saw the one you posted. Yes.
I didn't post it. Dan posted it.
Oh, okay. All right. I thought it was you, but either way, yeah.
No, that's half what I want to talk about. The fact that like Strixhaven, which is a book that's been delayed for a full month, a whole month now.
I honest to God thought it was already out and had been out for months.
No, but all the people who are like reviewers of the book got it mid-November, and then like I guess they were under NDAs to not discuss it or do videos on it until it actually got released or something. I don't know.
Sure.
But yet everything's just being released about the book, the table of contents, all the special new magic items and stuff like that. What our friend posted in our little chat group was the fact that the cloak of displacement has been replaced by the new best comic magic item ever, the bottle of boundless coffee.
Which is ridiculous and disgusting.
Well,
was it the cloak of displacement though?
The cloak of sorry, if I say cloak of displacement, is the cloak of billowing was the comic item.
That's it. The cloak of billowing.
Yeah.
Which does nothing except billow upon command
Boundless
and make you look awesome.
Yeah. So I don't know.
But yeah, what's the new item? What was it called again?
The bottle of boundless coffee.
I mean, for coffee lovers, honestly, if you made it the bottle of boundless beer or tea or something like that, that makes it a better item.
Yeah. So basically, it's just when you put the bottle to your lips and you drink from it, it has an endless supply of warm coffee inside.
I mean, I love common magic items. I really do.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them don't do much of anything. They don't really affect the game.
Until
so
they start
one of
breaking the game.
Hasn't happened yet that I'm aware of. So one of my players, Jacob, ended up getting a hold of a curse that gives him really good powers. He likes some of the stuff of what it does, and it sort of fits what his character's about. But at the same time, it has some drawbacks, and one of the drawbacks is that he can't taste food. So one of the common magic items is basically a pouch that every morning it just creates like 10 herbs and spices that you can just throw on everything. So every single meal he eats, he's just throwing all these herbs and spices on there, just trying to taste food.
I must taste again.
Yeah. But yeah, that's why I love common magic items, because I threw out this one story element, and then he's just running with this other item that he had that doesn't really do anything, but it's fun for role playing purposes.
Yeah.
Cloak of billowing. It's a perfect example.
Minx has one.
Does he? The hamster?
He
Boo?
No, Minsk.
Yeah, no. What does he have? A
The
cloak
cloak
of
of
billowing?
he better because wherever he goes, his cloak billows.
Oh, I just thought that was a natural effect of him.
Just his aura just gives off.
Yes. Yeah, that's what I thought that was.
Yeah.
I mean, with it, Minx, maybe he's had the item for years and never even knew it was magical. It just did that.
Yeah, I've been thinking about my Owl campaign and adding in a bunch of cool magic items and stuff like that, but I don't know. I made up a couple that were kind of like Feywild theme, and I never kind of really threw them in. I just kind of like used the basic tables from the DMG to kind of just create the magic item list that the players got,
Yeah,
and then like
that's the easy
added
way.
flair to them essentially. So like if there was a necklace of prayer beads, which just became a necklace of acorns, and I
Yeah,
chose
okay.
what it was. So maybe I should like go through 100% to make the necklace of acorns a unique magic item for the campaign, or should I just
For
like
the final version, honestly, make it something different for the final version. I mean, you're running on stream and everything, and you're sort of piecing this thing as you go. So
yeah.
it's a little more difficult if you're having to create things on the fly. But if you have a little time to do
Hmm.
stuff like that, yeah, go for it, man.
Yeah. And that's just a lot of scope creep that I didn't plan for this campaign, you know.
Yeah.
So scope creep, man, it ruins my life.
I don't
Work.
know what that word means, but
So scope creep is when you plan out something and say, "Hey, I'm gonna build a cupboard," and you're like, "Okay, cool," and then you're like, "Well, I want the cupboard to be made of this particular type of wood, which takes extra milling to happen."
sure.
So you're like, "Okay." So your time making the cabinet has increased some. But then you're like, well, since I'm making the cabinet, I need to make the foot ottoman that goes with it so I can put on my clothes better. And you're like, okay, well, now I'm making a cabinet and an ottoman. And you're like, okay, well, since I'm going to make this cabinet and I'm going to be dressing myself, might as well put a mirror inside the cabinet, even though I didn't plan to have a cabinet. So I need two giant wardrobe doors now. So now you're making a cabinet wardrobe combo with a mirror inside. So
I might as well make that bed frame since it's gonna need it to match the entirety of the
and
cabinet.
and then the scope of your project keeps creeping larger and larger and larger. Hence the term scope creep.
I get it. I've never heard that term before, but that's literally my every single day. I need to list these items. Well, let's go buy some more items. Now I need to list those items. Let's go buy some more items.
Turns out all the skills you have as a dungeon master work really well as program management. Because no matter what you do, you're just herding cats.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty good at herding cats most of the time. I don't know. There are some game sessions where everybody in the group is just very ADD and it's hard to stay focused. And then other times I'm like, we're doing this. Stay on track.
Oh, I saw something on Reddit, unfortunately, well before Thanksgiving, and I wanted to bring it up to you and I forgot. It was a guy who DMs for a table of 12 people that's
Hell no.
grown to a table of 16 people. And they're very
He's that
happy.
that that
He
tops me.
and basically he basically runs the game once a week that way, and they're all very happy with the game. They have no complaints and are going to continue doing it that way, and he has no plans of having any extra DMs or splitting the groups up or anything. How this man has to be the best DM in the universe to entertain 16 people.
My money's on he's a goddamn liar.
My money is on that the group is like split up internally and they kind of do their own things without him, or just hang
uh,
around and drink heavily.
so a couple of questions. Do you know if he runs it online or
In person in
in?
his basement next to his bar.
Uh, okay, that's way better. Trying to do that online would be fucking impossible. Uh, yeah, and I'm kind of with you. If you are running a massive role play session and very, very little combat throughout your campaign, yeah, you could probably manage 13 people or 16 or however many. Because if you are allowing people to one, you don't all want to sit at the same table. You just need everybody off in their own little corner and role play. Think of it like what we do at LARP. Everybody just sort of does their own thing. If you allow that and you provide some narrative along the way, yeah, that could be a hell of a lot of fun, and it would probably work okay. The minute you get into combat, the minute there's any sort of combat, and you're like, all right, roll initiative, and 16 people roll initiative, everything you have planned goes right out the damn window. And I mean, this from Star Wars, and Star Wars wasn't even that many people, but you're looking at, a good 4 hours to go 3 turns of combat.
Yeah. Like I
Yeah,
said, I don't know how he does it with the amount of people that he has. I bless him for doing it, but like,
ask him. Fucking ask him. I want to
no,
know.
I'm not. Like, I don't want to know his secrets. I don't want to know. I don't want to crack open that little chest. I didn't go, well, maybe I should run a game. No, I don't want to have
No. Oh
any.
God, no.
I don't want to know
You
anything. I want that
you do
secret to stay
you do
buried
yours
forever.
on you run online anyway, so that's you don't even need to worry about that. That's right out.
No, I still do Adventures League a lot.
That is true. But yeah,
Oh,
you've tried Adventures League with more than like 5 people, and it starts to get
yeah,
very
it's silly.
difficult.
I actually canceled Adventures League the week of Thanksgiving because I had family in town. I couldn't
Yeah,
play, and part of what I'm trying to help build at Adventures League is other DMs showing up and DMing instead of me all the
right.
time. And so one of them actually said, "Hey, I'll run the game." I'm like, "Cool, have
Awesome.
fun." I'll make an announcement that it's no longer canceled, that I have uncanceled the cancellation, and go do the game. And I was told that they ran the game, they had fun, which is great. So
Good.
yeah, I wasn't there. The
Yeah,
game got ran, just what I want.
that is sort of what I mean, honestly, that's what everybody needs. There's never enough dungeon masters. There never are.
Yeah,
I'm perfectly happy running in my little group, and we do have a second DM. Every once in a great while, we have a third who'll run something else, and that's about it. I keep trying to get Jacob to run something, but I don't know if
he's
that'll
never
ever
gonna
happen.
run anything for you.
Probably not. But DMing is not for everybody. Some people just want to be players, and I get it.
I am trying to get one of my players to DM me through the Magic the Gathering, uh, Magic D&D adventure that I found
Yeah.
because I want to play a Planeswalker and just go through and do that um, little adventure. I think that'd be a lot of fun. That's why I haven't read it or anything. So I was like, yeah, maybe he will.
Hopefully.
My other
I mean,
player actually dropped off as like a Thanksgiving present. He gave me all his original Pathfinder books.
ooh,
So now
first edition stuff.
I have a stack of Pathfinder books that I have now sitting here in my living room. So I thank my player greatly. I don't know what I'm going to do with them.
You're gonna read them, and you're gonna transition from running D&D to Pathfinder.
I will never do that. I
Oh,
I am
you say
not I'm not going
Rick,
back 20 years of editions.
okay,
To,
at 9:03 on November the 29th, 2021. That's the day you said you would never do this.
play
I'm waiting.
Pathfinder? Yeah.
No, no, yeah, that's the day you said you would never run Pathfinder. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna see how long this takes.
There are many other editions of role playing games I would play first. And I'm heavily considering actually running a Call of Cthulhu game next.
Yeah, we actually should talk about that one maybe for the next podcast. Because you've never run it. Have you ever? I think you've said you played it once before.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, we should definitely talk a bit more about that one because it's a fun system. It's interesting, and that's one of those games where the feel of the game matters
Yeah.
so much. It's like running a Strahd. You need to have the mood.
After I watched Ghostbusters, and everyone should go watch Ghostbusters, and found out that the RPG Writer Workshop actually has their own Call of Cthulhu write your own first adventure thing.
Yep. Yep.
I'm very interested in trying a Call of Cthulhu adventure and game. So I'm
Yeah,
up for that.
I've played it several times. I've run it a couple of times. Mind you, this was a long time ago. I bought a newer copy of it a couple years back with plans on running it, and then just life happened. I'm very adverse at this age of learning new systems or relearning systems that I knew 20 years ago. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the reason I haven't run. It's why I haven't run Shadowrun. It's why I haven't run Call of Cthulhu. It's not that I don't want to. It's just I don't want to have to go through and memorize all this stuff. And if people think D&D is a complex system, they have no idea. Like Call of Cthulhu is a much more complicated system.
Yeah, but I liked how it was. I liked the percentage in the D100 system essentially
Yeah,
that it was. So
yeah. It's not super difficult. It's just having to learn all the little nuances of it to run a campaign. It is just a percentile based system.
yeah, that way I can also I want to run the same adventure that I was being run through just to see
Mhm.
like what exactly that guy was messing up for me.
Yeah, yeah. You've told this horror story before.
I just
Uh, was it the one in the book, or
It
was
was
it a
the
separate
Oriental
one?
Express one.
Okay, yeah, yeah. Huh.
So
Do you have a copy of that one?
no, I'll have to find it someplace. I'm sure a copy exists out somewhere.
Yeah, I'm actually checking eBay right now. Oh, yeah, yeah. That's really expensive.
How much is it on eBay?
The cheapest one I see from a quick look is about $70.
Oh yeah, that's okay. So it's retail price.
Wow, that's way more. The retail price for that thing was probably $25.
No, last I saw it was 150.
That's
It,
not
it, ca-
retail.
it came in a box set with the book and all the things you
Oh
needed
wait,
to
yeah,
run
okay.
it. So
Horror on the Orient Express, Volume One, London to the Alps. Yeah, there are different ones.
yeah,
Uh, yeah, okay. So the box set is 100 plus
yeah.
for it. That's from 1991. That's the probably first or second edition.
I think the one I looked at was second, but yeah. But yeah, like these things cost a lot of money, and it's
Don't I know it?
yeah. So speaking of, Strixhaven comes out on the 7th, so I gotta
Mhm.
buy the hardcover version of that. I gotta buy the D&D Beyond version of it as well.
Yeah,
Then that stupid gift set for Mordenkainen's Guide to the Multiverse comes out in January, and that's got two books in it that I already have. So I'm not buying that, you know.
yeah.
So I got to wait for Mordenkainen's to come out. So that's another book that I have to buy.
See, I think that's why I stopped being a collector of most things
Come to find
because
out that I don't have Volos either.
oh yeah, you don't actually have a copy of Volos.
I don't have a copy of Volos. I had a copy of Mordenkainen's, but not
I'll tell you my
Volos.
I'll tell you my collector's copy.
No, I need a normal copy, so it looks good on my shelf.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Well,
I mean, you can get a copy for $50 or whatever. They're
you can
not
get
that
a
bad.
copy for $30 on Amazon right now, and it's buy two
Yeah,
get one free.
how about that?
Yay, Amazon.
Yeah, being a collector of things ends up being stupidly expensive, though. Like you know all about this since you actually collect a lot of things. I don't really collect anything anymore.
Well, right now all I'm collecting is D&D first edition, second edition books and regrets. So
The one thing I have found myself collecting recently, and I'm already starting to regret it, is all of the '90s D&D novels.
oh really?
Oh yeah, yeah. I got an entire row of them, probably about 30 of them that I've managed to pick up. That's not including any of the R.A. Salvatore ones I already owned. It's yeah. I, I will never get to read all of these, and I know it.
I
I
mean,
just don't. I don't read enough, but I want them. I don't know why.
that
They're
sounds like
just gonna
quitter
sit on a
talk.
shelf.
You need to sit down
Fortunately,
every day and read a book.
I should. I used to. Yeah. That's one of those other things that happens when you get old, become an adult, read way less than I used to. Hell, I did. I mean, I have been reading more than than normal recently. I started on that Batman graphic novel that I was telling you about.
Yeah, I can burn through those pretty fast, but my
Yeah, I
wife
should have already been done with it. I just haven't finished it yet.
my wife burns her books like that's like they show tomorrow. Like she brought like 7 or 8 books with her to our last little weekend vacation,
Hmm.
and she read through all of them like in 2 days. Like there's 2 more days to go. She's like, I gotta go buy some more books. I'm like, no, you don't.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say I couldn't do that. I would have to have no internet. If you take the internet away from me, I will read the hell out of some books. As long as
Yeah,
I have video games or internet, it's not gonna happen.
yeah, that's true for me. That's why I keep forgetting to work on my projects.
Hey, let's go play some Overwatch.
Uh,
Yep.
I was talking with a few people about like what after I finish the stuff that I'm working on, like what I should write next, and I have a couple good ideas for one shots. I was like,
Mhm.
I should make a Thanksgiving based D&D one shot and make it horror themed,
Oh, do thanks killing.
and then I was trying to come up with really cool like titles for like what this would be, just kind of to throw things out there. So like Thanksgiving, um, crap, what was the other one? There was some turkey punt based one. Basically, every time I Googled whatever title name that I came up with, it was
Yeah.
already taken by someone else running a one shot for Thanksgiving.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
So I will never write a Thanksgiving based one shot. If I do, I'm gonna just make it a Christmas one shot because there's like no Christmas one shots.
Uh, you could do. You would have to sort of make it yourself, but maybe do it instead of Thanksgiving. Do it harvest time. Something maybe scarecrow related or Sleepy Hollow. Yeah, you could do it in that manner.
But I wanted to kill a turkey like everyone else.
Do the Wednesday Adams scene.
I want a flock of undead turkeys to like descend upon a town and eat everybody.
Nobody's afraid of turkeys, though.
You will be.
Oh, you will be. See, you got it. That's all you need right there. Just horror themed turkey. I don't know. We would have to find a good name for it, though. Something foul.
There's actually on D&D maps a guy released his map for everyone to use called the Mimic Tavern Battle Map.
Mhm.
And so pretty much just picture a tavern that is in the middle of the forest. Like there's like the path behind the tavern, just like a wrecked forest,
Yeah.
and then like just stopping right there is a tavern in the middle of like the end of the path, you know.
Yep. Yep.
And essentially the entire tavern itself is a giant mimic. And so he
Oh
has
yeah.
two maps. The other map is basically the mimic part. And he drew all like the pseudopod limbs of the mimic with like hands. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but mimics don't have hands.
Mimics can have more or less whatever they want. I would
Right,
think.
but they don't need hands to grab you. They just stick. You just stick to them.
Yeah. Yeah. That is correct.
Yeah. So all that's the only part of the map. It's an amazing map, but all the like little mimic pseudopod things, which should be tentacles, are just like arms with elbows.
Huh.
And it
I don't
kind
know. I mean, that sounds creepier.
of, I don't know. It's a great map. I love it. I've already saved it. I plan to use it sometime. But I don't know the hands versus the pseudopod tentacles, and I just wanted to confirm. Like I wasn't insane thinking that it's just tentacles.
Yeah.
It's not hands.
From my understanding, mimics can take the form of pretty much any inanimate object that they want, which would include statues of people. So there's no reason they couldn't have hand-shaped objects, but it's definitely not a requirement since everything they touch sticks to them.
So like when I had my owlbear mimic, okay,
Mhm.
the owlbear came down with its slashing claws and hit the person, but it didn't do slashing damage. It did bludgeoning damage because he still just got hit with a giant pseudopod.
Yeah. Yeah.
The guy has a bathhouse or like a bathroom in this tavern, and they're just like a bunch of like wooden frames with holes, like old timey toilets essentially. Before toilets were really a thing. And so like two of them have arms coming out of the toilets. Okay.
Okay.
But one is just the mouth. The toilet, like just underneath the toilet, it's just the mouth.
See, that would be the worst thing, man. Sitting down to use the toilet, and next thing you know, you're getting devoured by said toilet.
It's like I'm already afraid like a snake is gonna bite my butt or a
I
spider's
know,
gonna
yeah.
bite my butt, let alone a mimic's gonna start chowing down. At
Yeah,
least I get the fact to know that I pooed in a mimic's mouth before it killed me.
that's the only satisfaction you're going to get out of that encounter.
I mean, if a mimic eats you whole, he does eat your poop too.
I know, right?
That's why I hate getting shrimp with like the poop line. Like, ugh.
And you literally have just chased everybody away from this podcast.
Well, they have 5 more minutes. They can deal with it. Actually, I don't have any more topics. I talked about everything I wanted to talk about. I'm upset that Strixhaven came out early and people got it before me. Man.
Yeah. Well, hey, you need to get in good and start doing review videos or something, I guess. I don't know.
I just don't have the time or the energy.
I know.
If any of you out there want to help me make videos, just let me know. Help me make videos.
Yeah. I know for a while we were putting videos out when there was a lot of stuff being released, but there hasn't been any news in a while, so there hasn't been many videos lately.
Nope.
One thing I did find, so I've been talking a lot this episode apparently about just the enjoyment of things when they're kind of new and things like that. So when I was younger, did you ever play Monster Rancher?
No.
You never played Monster Rancher. Did you play Pokemon or anything like that?
No. I was in college by the time all that hit came out.
Yeah, so was I. I still played Monster Rancher. Monster Rancher was amazing.
I played real games like Diablo 2 and World of Warcraft.
I played those also. Monster Rancher was pretty awesome because it was Pokemon-esque. You'd raise these different monsters and then fight them against each other. But it was a little different. It would actually build your monster based on what CD you would put in the PlayStation.
That's cool.
Yeah, so I could take a music CD and it would give me a different monster than the ones I already had access to. Depending on what CD would depend on sort of rarity of monsters and so forth. Kind of neat. I only brought this up because apparently Tecmo has decided to host a Monster Rancher tournament. And as soon as I read this article, I got to thinking about Monster Rancher, and then it got me to thinking: have you ever done basically allowed your PCs to raise monsters? Like, I know it's possible to find, say, dragon eggs or cockatrice eggs, different things like that. But have you ever let them actually hatch it and raise it?
I wouldn't be against them doing it, but none have ever tried.
Yeah, this is something I don't know why it had never occurred to me. Yeah, I know there are some game settings where you can buy rare monsters for exorbitant fees. The Oriental Adventure one we were going into, you could buy things like tigers or war elephants and stuff, but they're like 10,000 gold and so forth. But to be able to buy like just find a ranch that actually raises different types of monsters would be one of the coolest things to find. And then to have players open their own ranch raising things like that would be just, I think that's really fun stuff for world building.
Yeah, I mean it definitely is. I feel like it sometimes derails campaigns. Like I don't mind people fighting a monster and raising it, or befriending a goblin and bringing it around, but it does create a lot of extra work for the DM.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Like I did it when I started playing 5th edition again. I found a goblin and kept him. I fully planned on just using him to like trigger a trap later on. I wasn't gonna make friends with him. I was like, you hide outside of town, and we'll come get you when we go back on our venture. Here's some food. Here's some camping supplies. You just stay there, or else we'll kill you. You know. And
Yeah.
he's like, okay, and he goes camping. And the DM did the smart thing too. What he did is he randomly rolled for random encounters to see what would happen.
Yeah. See if
And
the goblin just gets killed by town guard or something.
he got killed by two wolves
Yeah.
that
Okay, there
smelt
it
his
is.
campfire. And I was like, you know what? I applaud you. Good on you for killing that goblin. Even if it was random, you could have done it on purpose. I don't care. Good on you.
Yeah.
You don't want that crap.
Yeah. But I just, and things like this, creating a ranch to raise monsters, it honestly, it could be minimal work for the DM, but if it is, then it requires a lot of extra work from the player.
Yeah.
As an example, in a third edition campaign that I was playing in, we were really high level, like plus 20 plus level, and we had a buttload of money. So I didn't do a ranch, but I actually built my own keep. And I could have allowed the DM to do the whole process, but instead they actually had a book for building keeps at the time. So I'm like, this is how much money I've got. This is the amount of time it's going to take. This is exactly what I'm building. These are the traps that are in it, and so forth. And basically, I spent hours upon hours building this thing myself, handed it off to the DM. He okayed it. This is, I told him what it takes to do it, how long it takes, etc. Didn't require any extra effort from him, and it
No.
was just a little piece of lore for my own character. This thing will probably never even get used, um, but I had the cost of the staff, like everybody that worked for me. I didn't have all their names, but uh, specific ones I had at least names for them.
Yeah. I mean, if you're willing to put in all the work and have it run and have it just run for the players as well too, then yeah, grats. I
And it's
just
really, yeah, it's more of a role playing thing than anything. I guess if I made an enemy and they came for me, the DM could, actually decide to attack said fortress,
yeah.
which is that is stuff that happened a lot in the earlier editions because it was built as a war game. It like you actually got followers when you hit ninth level in first and second edition. You just get followers.
Huh.
So by that point, you are expected to have a keep.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't think I've ever ran into that idea. Like, I mean, when playing the Star Wars game, that's exactly what our group likes to do. They like to hoard wealth because they're all dragons.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, they are.
yeah, they are. So they're like, oh, we bought a mining station and a moon, and we bought a planet, and we have property over here. All the while, I'm sitting there with my stupid rug going, huh. Yeah, I'm just gonna go out and assassinate a bunch of people and steal their money. That's all I'm gonna do. And our
Yep.
group is like building starships and stuff. I'm like, eh.
Oh, if I had continued to play in there, my goal was to have a starship that was nothing more than a gambling casino. That was what I wanted to do.
But like, I've never actually had a group that I played in or with or for
Mhm.
that ever try to like establish a base outside of Waterdeep, but that's actually built into the campaign. So,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
and even then, they decided to kind of like just ignore it. Like, I
Yeah.
had the pamphlets and everything there. Like, this is all the stuff you can build out, and they're just like, okay, cool. All right, we got a bunch of money. We're building out all these things. Crap.
Yep. Yeah.
I
The
failed.
last game, the Hobtown campaign, when I ran it, like they did end up with their own base, but it was more of what you're saying. It was DM created. I gave the players the opportunity to sort of do what they wanted with the place, and none of them ever did anything. So at that point, I'm like, all right, well, this is what you're getting.
A lot of people that play Lost Mines of Phandelver take the abandoned manor and make that their base of operations,
Mhm.
which would be really cool. It would be really cool to do. Like actually have that kind of built into campaign. Like, hey, here's bases in each town that you could possibly do. But I doubt that
Yeah,
would happen in an official campaign setting because it's like, why? why would you have anything like that? It just takes up space. When it's just extra data and just the DM kind of do whatever. And speaking of
Yeah,
which, it makes me think there is not a 5e strongholds and followers book really.
so well, that changed with fourth edition and fifth edition. Yeah, like the systems don't support that. They're not built for that anymore. All of the modules, all the campaigns that they write, don't even hardly go to high enough level for you to start building.
Yeah.
I mean, most of them stop by 12th level. You know, it, Icewind Dale, if it had kept going, and not to give spoilers because I know we probably still have some people who are playing it, but if it had kept going, you could have ended up in positions of prominence within Icewind Dale and actually started building the town, or maybe even starting a 11th town.
Yeah, that's the place I want to build my 11th town, in the middle of Icewind Dale, where it's
Well, you're already there for some reason.
where everyone's art hates each other, everything's
Yeah,
dead. All they have is honey and mead somehow.
there's your whole. That's the second leg of the campaign, is trying to find a way to legally or illegally build another town on one of those shitty lakes.
I mean, it wouldn't be that hard to walk into Karak Koenig and just like shoot the speaker and go, "Okay, I'm in charge of this town now." We're just gonna go, "Okay, yeah, whatever."
Yeah, or you could do that. Yeah.
Stupid drunk Dragonborn always ruin everyone's fun.
But yeah, it's something to think about. I really enjoy the idea of world building in the context of getting followers, of getting your own locations and bases, but it does require a lot of player involvement. Without that, it makes it a lot harder.
Yeah. I guess if I ever do actually write my own campaign world, I'll include a section for that because it would make sense to have like you have like the short list of like, okay, here's all the restaurants and their price ranges, kind of like Yelp.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you should also include like, hey,
A
here's the
1-star review.
here
Terrible unicorn food.
terrible unicorn fruit. It tastes like bear. The penguin meat wasn't fresh penguin meat.
Yep.
Um, but like you can also include just a table. It's all you need is a table of like where you can buy bases or operation, and how much it would cost. You don't need that much work.
It really depends on how in depth you want to go. Like the Followers and Strongholds book from third edition, it was an entire book on it, and it had all of the different rooms that you could build, all the different traps that you could add, all the magical effects you could add, and
Yeah,
their costs, and the amount of time that it would take to do that stuff. I know there was a non-official 5e one that came out a while back that kind of covered all that. I guess on the DM's Guild.
yeah, and that's pretty much where everything can get filled in now. Go to DM's Guild.
Yeah. If you want anything fun, go to DM's Guild or go to a Kickstarter.
That's right.
Hash.
Go to DM's Guild this Wednesday and get my Christmas adventure. It will be at least 50% off, if not more. Probably
And
more.
on that note, I think we're done here. Sing us out, Panda or Bruce.
I would say bye, Craig, but he's not in the room.
I know, right? Don't even get to use the classic ending.
I'm southbound and down. All my rolls are crits. It's time for me to hit the bricks.